Hi everyone, Carolyn Peeler here, and I'm really happy to be here in the classroom at Ellen Hutson. It was Thanksgiving weekend this past weekend here in Canada, so I felt inspired to create a grateful themed project for this week's video tutorial. To get started, we're going to use this wonderful stag die from Crate Paper. It's from their open book collection. I applied double-sided adhesive to this ivory cardstock before I ran it through the die cutting machine. And of course that makes it a little tricky to handle once you've taken that protective coating off the adhesive, but we managed to do it just fine. Now we're sprinkling this beautiful sand glitter over top of the adhesive, and now I'm burnishing it. Burnishing is a really important step because it's going to help your glitter stay onto your die cut so that your project doesn't shed glitter for the next 2 weeks and every time you take the card in and out of the envelope. So really great step to know there. Now we're going to work on our stamped border design. We're using 3 different colors of distress ink, starting with the lightest color, going down to the darkest color, and just randomly putting that ink onto this Avery L border stamp. And I'm looking for a nice mottled effect with the color, so that's why there's just a random application of the ink onto the stamp design. And sorry, I kind of took this off camera to spray my water, but I've just got water in a spray bottle here, and I've squirted it onto my stamp design, and now I'm going to stamp this onto watercolor paper. I sprayed the water on so that I could get a nice watercolor effect. So we lift up the design, and there we go. Got the border design on there. Now we're going to glue this border design onto what I call a card blank, and I'll explain later in the video why I like to build my cards in this manner. It's simply a 5.5 by 4.25 piece of cardstock, the same size that my finished card front will be. And now I'm taking my scissors and I'm trimming that border, the watercolor paper, to size because it was a little bit larger than my card front. And we're getting ready now for the next step, which is to glue our pattern paper. We're using 2 different designs, one from Crate Paper and one from Prima. We're going to start by gluing down this chevron design. This one is from the open book collection by Crate Paper. We're going to glue that across the top of the card. Then we're going to take the shipping tag and we're going to glue the shipping tag also to the card. So because we're gluing it, obviously the tag is no longer functional. It's not going to be able to be pulled in and out. I just really like the decorative element that it adds to the front of the tag, the front of the card. Next, we're going to put our stately, dark, rich colored bottom paper on. This one is from Prima, from their Archivist collection. And by combining this dark color with the stag die cut and the other autumn colors, it really gives this card a masculine flair, which is kind of nice because I don't actually design too many masculine looking cards. Okay, so now this is the trouble stepping part of the project. I don't know if you noticed in the comments, but I wrote that that I made a mistake when I was building this card. What I found was when I squirted water onto the stamp design, I did not put enough on. Quite often when you stamp, you're really looking for a defined impression. You're looking to see every single line nice and clearly. However, for watercolor techniques, for myself, I really am looking for the colors to be blended, to have no harsh edges and have the colors really seamlessly flow from one into another. That's what I love about watercolor. Unfortunately, what I found after I did my impression with the stamp was I had not put enough water on. So simply by coming here with a little pile of water in my paintbrush, I'm able to add water, reactivate this ink, so that I can get the look that I'm going for, which is this beautifully blended look. We're nearing the end here. We're going to start to put everything together. The final thing that we need to prep is our little greeting that's going to go on the bottom of the card. So this is the Grateful Me stamp from the Fancy Thanks collection that Julie designed for Ellen Hutson. I've stamped that onto white cardstock. I'm going to trim it to size. And then using distress ink and an ink applicator tool, I'm going to go ahead and just add some ink around the outside edges of this word strip and also around the outside edge of my card blank. Now between the last step and this step, you'll see it when I lift the card up, I took the card over to my sewing machine and I added a straight stitch, one down the edge of the pattern paper and one down the edge of the watercolor paper, so right next door to each other. I did that because I really love the texture that sewing adds to a project. Unfortunately, my sewing machine was off camera, so I wasn't able to capture the actual sewing for you. Now we're putting everything together. We've just glued the stag down, and now we're going to put our greeting. The greeting I mounted on some pop dots because I really enjoy having visual interest on the front of my projects, and having the greeting on pop dots just adds some to the card. All right, so here's the secret. Here's why I glue, or I start my project on these card lengths. Because I sew so much, you can see there the line from on the back side of the card front where you can see the stitching line. So by gluing that onto a fully functional card, when your receiver receives the card and they open it up, as I'm going to show you here, there is no stitch line. Alrighty, so that was today's project. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great week.